Hi guys, so I thought I'd come on today real quick and just discuss cultural appropriation. So I've ummed and ahed about doing this for a while, just because it's one of those topics where people get really et up about it, and usually it descends into arguing and insults, and you never get anywhere. When I first was interested in paganism and witchcraft, and you research and you look into it deeper, we were still having these conversations way back then, and we've never come anywhere. So I think we need to really tackle it and then put it to bed so we can all move on. So I have friends who believe that cultural appropriation is a non-thing, and they cite human history. So if you look back to the very beginning of recorded history, then there's always been one group of people who takes from another group of people, and that is true. There's no denying it. But I don't think that's what cultural appropriation is. So if you look at the definition of appropriation, it's basically theft. So in terms of cultural appropriation, then you have the dominant culture that takes from the minority culture with no regard for the people within the minority culture. And what's important is you have to remember that those people in the minority culture are oppressed anyway. They're already under oppression. That's what makes it cultural appropriation, in my book at least. So that's what it is. And I also think that in terms of paganism and witchcraft, I think it's become one of those things that puts people off exploring new ideas and new thought because they don't want to be called racist. They don't want to get accused of cultural appropriation. And oftentimes, those people are the ones who are genuinely interested. And it's a crying shame that they're put off, I think. So when I get interested in something, whatever it is, I get a little bit obsessed about it. So not only do I look into that topic, but I will, explore everything associated with it, no matter how tenuous it may be. And I feel like people like me who might want to explore spiritualities that aren't perhaps native to themselves or to their own country, they're put off. And I think they're the kind of people who actually should be welcomed because they're not the ones doing the cultural appropriating. In fact, one time I was in a Facebook group and it was pagan and witchcraft related. And we were discussing ideas for articles, essays and papers. And it was all to do with the goddess Hecate. Now, I suggested a paper based on the similarities between Hecate, the Greek Titan goddess, and Papa Legba, the voodoo loa, because there are a lot of similarities between the two. So I, typed that in and said, I'm thinking about doing this. And the number of responses I got from people to say, you know what, just be careful that you're not culturally appropriating, which was a bit patronising, to be honest, and it did piss me off. But there was one woman who was really so annoying to the point where she would message me and say, well, if you're really interested, so you're not culturally appropriating these ATRs, I will put you in touch with some elders of the traditions. And it was just like, no. No, how am I culturally appropriating voodoo, an African-based religion? Do you know what I mean? And so I think that adds to why people get so offended and defensive about the whole subject. I also think, and perhaps for me, this is the most important part, that it's not people who are genuinely interested in doing the appropriating. I feel that the capitalist system is the biggest cultural appropriator of anything, because within the capitalist system, everything's for sale. The capitalist system commodifies everything. So everything is up for sale. Everything can be bought and sold with little or no regard to the people from whom it comes from. And to me, that is the biggest single cultural appropriator of anything. And until we kind of get that sorted out, which may or may not ever happen, who knows? But until, we can really deal with that issue, I don't think we'll ever move on. Because what the capitalist system does is it pits people against one another. And so you see people infighting. So you see people who are genuinely interested in spiritualities fighting amongst one another because someone said they're culturally appropriating. And all the while, then our attention is turned away from the capitalist system that perpetrates countless atrocities, of which cultural appropriation is just one. So for me, it is the capitalist system that is the culprit behind cultural appropriation. So I think that people who are genuinely interested in a spirituality should be free to seek out that spirituality in whatever way they can. So, you know, if you have access to travel and to talk to people from that culture or that spirituality, then you should do so. And if you can't, then you should just read widely and really use whatever tools you can to kind of explore those spiritualities, and don't be put off by people who are oftentimes well-meaning, who, you know, might say, well, just be careful of cultural appropriation. Because I think what that does, it puts people off. You know, if you're genuinely interested in something, you're not going to abuse it. And I think that is the important thing. So, you know what? I think people should be free to explore whatever they want, as long as they do so respectfully. And I think respect is everything. So there you have it. Just some of my views on cultural appropriation. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. So please comment and keep it civil, folks, because open and honest discourse is the way forward. Have a good day, people. Bye.